Hey friend, welcome to Mat Chats with Black or White Key, where we roll through the highs and lows of jiu-jitsu, life, and everything in between. Come grab a seat on the mat, get comfortable, and let's have a chat. We are back on the mats, well, in my home office, but still same. And welcome to another episode of Mat Chats with Black or White Key. And we are on the warm-up. So just talk a little bit about what's going on. I have a partner that does not train jiu-jitsu. And how does that work out for me? So my partner he's a sweet guy. He's not really into sports. He goes to the gym and stuff, but he's not like a sports guy. So when I told him about jiu-jitsu and I'm like, hey, do you have any interest in doing jiu-jitsu? He was like, nope, I have no interest in martial arts, like no interest in hitting things, choking things, punching things, kicking things, whatever. And you would think that would put a little bit of a damper on a relationship, like, oh, you're not into the things that I like. Oh, like, why don't you want to do martial arts? And, for some people that might be like a deterrent. But for me, I kind of like that because it kind of gives me an opportunity to have my thing. And, my boyfriend came to support me when I competed in February. I did Grappling Industries. Yeah, Grappling Industries. I almost said Grappling Quest, if for those of you back in the day that know Grappling Quest, but no, Grappling Industries. So he came, he supported me, took video. It was cool. It was cool that he was there. So, but which brings us to the main role. If you're only listening, I'm having a little roll dance here. Yeah. But let's talk about dating someone who doesn't do jiu-jitsu. I've written about this on my blog, blackorwhitekey.com. Definitely check that out. There'll be some new blog posts coming up there soon. Again, going back to last week's episode when I talked about putting Black or White Key on the side. I'm slowly getting back into it and slowly putting getting back to where I was, but just, baby steps. And, this is part of the baby steps. But I talked about how, sometimes there could be positive and negatives when you have someone that doesn't train. So, of course, always starting with the positive, as I mentioned, you have your thing and your partner doesn't interfere with your thing. So you guys have your separate lives, which I personally appreciate. I like the fact that my partner and we don't live together, but let's say if you did, or if your partner came over, you guys are in a living situation, you could practice on them without them knowing, which is great. And then you have someone that is supporting you and they have your thing. They actually trust you just because we know that jiu-jitsu is a close contact sport. And there are some times where you're going to be in contact with men. So them having that trust in you to train and not having worries, that's something I feel that builds a relationship. But talking about the negatives, and there are always negatives as a girl in training jiu-jitsu. And one factor that I haven't experienced this, but there's a lot of times where your partner can get jealous. Your partner sees that you're in a gym with mostly men. Again, this is talking to women, or granted, on any side, if you are a heterosexual person that, a man that dates women that dates men, or if you're bisexual or whatever your sexuality is, if your partner is jealous of you being in close contact with someone, this can be a major factor in kind of the tension and that brings a relationship when you train jiu-jitsu. And I've had that in my experience, not so much in the United States, but when I was living in China, I know there was a lot of women that did not want their partners training jiu-jitsu with other women, their male partners. And there's a lot of women that didn't want their men to be training with other men. And I had not a girl that I train with regularly, but one girl that was yeah, my partner doesn't like that I do jiu-jitsu. He always wants me to quit and blah, 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 blah. And, I just never understood that because I think you should have trust in your partner. Relationships are built on trust. Like, that's that. I just realized that my dog's toys in the way. Yes. Sorry, the dogs are complaining as I do this episode. On the other side of it, I think that I was gonna say that there was a guy I used to train with that he stepped out on his marriage. I talked about this in a previous episode a while ago, but he did step out on his marriage, and his partner found out that he was sleeping with a girl that we went to the gym with, and his partner was like, she forgave him, but she was like, nope, no women partners, no, none of that. And I asked him to train, and he was consistent. It wasn't, at first I thought, honestly, like, just because it's not someone I'm close with, I thought it was. And don't be like, oh, you're bringing race into everything. No, it's not a race thing. I'm just saying, sometimes when you are the other in a relationship, in a gym, you brought it there, but I realized he was consistent with every girl in the gym. All right, say hi to the people, Pumpkin. Hello. Yeah, so it that can bring a lot of tension in there, especially that. So, but at least he was consistent in that. And when it comes down to it, you as a person need to gauge, well, one, if the person you're with, like, if you're a person that you're just getting to know someone, and jiu-jitsu has already been part of your life. Sorry, my microphone shut off. If you are getting to know someone and jiu-jitsu is part of your life, and they're like, oh, I don't like the fact that you're training jiu-jitsu and you have men touching you or you have women touching you, blah, 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 then that's obviously the person that you don't want to be with, because if you made jiu-jitsu a part of your life, you don't want to get rid of that. On the other end of that, if you are someone who's been married, you've had your wife or your partner, anyone in your life for a while, and then you decide, like, oh, I want to try jiu-jitsu, and they're like, I don't like this factor of you being in close proximity with other people, then that's maybe something that you have to talk to your partner about. How do you broach something like this? How do you let people know? Maybe not even in a relationship way, or like in an intimate relationship way, but in a friendship way. Like, maybe you have a parent or a sibling or someone that doesn't appreciate or doesn't understand why you're doing jiu-jitsu, or the fact you want to do jiu-jitsu, which brings us to our beginner's corner, how to approach that. So I think that first thing to do in that case is to understand that a true person in your life that loves you will understand that you want to do the sport. Like, it's for your safety, it's for your security, all that stuff. So I think that broaching it from that case, especially, we're going to go into politics one of these weeks, but when it comes to the world and how men approach women and so on and so forth, having a martial art is so important to your security, and understanding that in the first place, and also making people understand your reasoning in choosing a sport or doing a sport. Like for me, like outside of my intimate partnerships, my mom I've told the story before too, but to reiterate, when I was growing up, I wanted to do wrestling. When I was in 9th grade, I did a unit in my 8th grade class in wrestling, and I had an aptitude for it. So my PE teacher told me to talk to the high school wrestling coach, and it worked out perfectly because swimming was outside of, like, so swimming is a fall sport and wrestling is a winter sport. So I was like, bro, this is amazing. So I could do wrestling. And my mom was like, she was like, okay, we'll see about it. And I forget the sports administrator, whatever the head person is for all the sports, was like, with Title IX, they can't prevent you at the time when I went to high school, but he was like, oh, do you want your female child to do wrestling? I could show you what happens to girls. And my mom was like, no, you're not doing it. And it that broke my heart. And then years later, I found jiu-jitsu, and my mom was like, oh, so you decided to wrestle with men again. And it's like, Mom, it's not about wrestling with men. It's literally about the aspect of it, the fact that I feel strong doing a grappling martial art, the fact that I could protect myself, all that stuff. So she understood that. So now she asks me about it from time to time. She'll make jokes about like, oh, so you're rolling with sweaty men again? It's like, oh, Mom, come on, stop. So I think any conversation that it has when it comes to your relationship with jiu-jitsu with people that don't do jiu-jitsu or don't understand jiu-jitsu, it comes from them understanding you and understanding your reasoning and truly caring about you. Yeah. So going to our final tap out question. Does your partner train? Like, do you have a wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner that trains jiu-jitsu while you don't train jiu-jitsu? Are you listening to this and you don't train jiu-jitsu and your partner does? Like, how does that affect your relationship? Does that make you want to try it? Are you like, oh man, why are they doing this sport? Gross, blah, blah, blah. Let me know in the comments. But until then, thank you so much for listening. I forgot to mention in the last episode, please follow me at blackgirlwikey BJJ on Instagram and TikTok and other stuff. I think I just have Instagram and TikTok. Yeah. I think also Pinterest. But in any event, thanks for listening. I will catch you next time on the mats. See you. All right, friend. That's all for today. Thanks so much for joining me on the mats. If you love this episode, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me at blackgirlwikey_BJJ. And stay tuned for the next episode. Until then, keep rolling and keep growing.